Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy first day of March break. Happy first Monday of March. And it is time for another video. Now, today, I know you were joining with the expectation and hope that I would talk about the municipal budget of St. Stephen. I mean, I did say that I was going to do that this week. But I am being interrupted yet again. I'm interrupting myself. Sometimes the news is interrupting me. And again, this is episode, I'm not even sure what episode. We're in the high 20s now. And we have a couple of months to go. So just over 60 more daily episodes here as I come on here every day and share with you my thoughts and things that are going on. And I just became aware of an important document that dropped last week, a really helpful document for you as maybe just a resident, somebody who is, if you're listening to these videos, you're part of this very important conversation, right? Of running for council, voting for a mayor, being part of the democratic process, being interested in how your municipal leadership runs, whether we're talking about the governance part of that hourglass that I've talked about before, which is mayor and council. And again, mayor is only part of council. Mayor serves under the direction and the authority of council. They're not the boss of the council, so you really need to think about that when you are electing a mayor and councilors. How will that team function together? Really think about the temperament, the disposition, the qualities of the people that you are electing to say, hey, I want a person who is representing my interests on council, yes, but also somebody who can work with a group of individuals and move things forward to make a real difference in rubber on the road, things that happen throughout the community. So there's that aspect, and then there's also the other entity of local government, as we've talked about before, which is the staff, the administration part of council, of your government. Nope, not the administration part of your council. The council is different than the day-to-day administration of the town, municipality in our case, and that is led by the CAO, and the CAO reports directly to council. And they are the only person in the administration that reports directly to council. So that's why there's an expression out there that says, the CAO is the only employee of council. So we've got that understanding of things. And again, you're a part of that. And thanks for following along. And I want to talk more specifically about how the budget works. It's important if you're part of this conversation, you're watching these videos, it's important for you to understand how the budget works, but it's also important for you to understand that your potential mayor understands that kind of thing as well, and how mayor and council work together with the CAO and staff who allocate and set forth budgets, make the budget, create the budget. That is part of the CAO's responsibility. But of course, when the council represents you as a resident, you want to have your voice heard in terms of we need to increase spending here. Maybe we need to decrease spending there. Maybe we need our taxes increased a little bit to provide more services or infrastructure. Maybe we need them decreased a little bit and say no to increased structure and programs and things like that. Those are all options on the table, and it's important for you to have your voice heard and spoken around the table through your elected representative, and of course also at meeting public comment periods. But that's another conversation for another time. Here's the document. I've teased you long enough. Here's what's kind of interrupting us today. This came out just this week, and I would really like to just go over some of the highlights with you today and probably the next couple days, and then we will get to the budget. If something more pressing news-wise that doesn't come along, which things are always happening, great, that's why I'm here every day. But this is a document that is encouraging people to run for council, as you can guess from the title here. Municipal Ready, Set, Run for Council, it's called. A practical guide for candidates. Now, you might think, well, I'm not a candidate, so I'm not going to listen anymore to this video. I am going to join the voices of the people who put this together. I'll tell you who they are, and encourage you. Put your name forward to run for council. This document really helps. I'm linking to it in the description wherever you're watching this video. So you can pull up a copy on your device or your computer, and there's a lot of helpful links inside. Obviously, in the paper copy, that you'll see hot links that you can't click here, but they will take you to very helpful places. This is a 26-page document, and it's really, really helpful. It hits the highlights. I felt very validated. All the digging around on the New Brunswick website and reading the acts and things like that, reading the actual legislation that's been passed. A lot of it is all here, and it's kind of neat to see this curated by it's the Union of Municipalities of New Brunswick. I've talked about the UMNB before, and it is also released in partnership with the Francophone version of that, so the Francophone Union of Municipalities. And then I've talked about CAMA, the Canadian Association of Municipal Administrators. That is the association for CAOs and people who manage staff of municipalities. That's a specific expert skill set. And there is also a New Brunswick association for that. So CAMA is the Canadian Association. It's countrywide. And then there's also a New Brunswick association as well, which would serve any CAOs or municipal administrators in the province would want to be a part of that. There's resources and standards and things like that to adhere to, just like any association. You join it and you uphold it. In my capacity in my business, I join associations in order to say I'm holding myself to a certain standard and also take advantage of some of the benefits and resources and things like that. So I wanted to talk about a couple of the really important things here today. The introduction is really great. Important dates are coming up in terms of when a candidate, and if you're wondering, if you're watching this and saying, well, what's coming down the pike in terms of expecting candidates to come out and seeing signs and things like that. Well, nominations begin on March 23rd. That means candidates can get their nomination papers, which are 10 signatures of electors. An elector is just somebody who is eligible to vote in the next election. And so that's something I'm going to have to do, is get 10 names and signatures and bring it to the returning office, which will be somewhere right here in St. Stephen, and then kind of become an official candidate on the ballot for Election Day. Now, that nomination period goes from the 23rd, but I'm going to be there first in line on the 23rd of March, and it goes until April 10th. April 10th is the closing, and that is when there are no more candidates accepted. And there's a date that you can withdraw by if you kind of change your mind or something comes up and you say, I can't run anymore, so you can withdraw your name. But of course, the election is on May 11th. So those are important dates. There's also things here about a webinar that is being put on by UMNB and the folks who put this together. And that is for, just basically what I've read about it, so that candidates know what they're getting themselves into by putting their name forward to run for office, run for council. And this is really helpful. I mean, there's why run for office. There's also sections here about the time expectations and things like that. But why run for office? I really like this summary. Local elected officials focus on, and it distills it into really 7 bullet points here, the community's economic, social, and cultural development. We want to see things moving forward in St. Stephen, so I would totally agree with that. And that's why, part of my vision is not to determine as a mayoral candidate, here's what we're going to do. I've said that before. I want us to build up St. Stephen, our people, our places, become a place of more positivity. That's not to say that there's no challenges. That's not to say that we won't all will disagree at times, perhaps, of where things go. That's democracy. In fact, one of the articles I read about this, where the president of the UMNB, I believe, said, actually, it might have been the Moncton mayor, because they have 11 councillors, I believe, in Moncton, and she said, she likes that municipal politics doesn't have party politics involved. I ran as MLA, and so I'm very familiar with that party aspect. This is my team, that's your team. And sometimes there's a sense that if you run for a party, you need to believe something. You need to align yourself with that party. Municipal politics, wonderfully, doesn't have that kind of constraint or limitation, I would say. And so the mayor of Moncton said, the great thing about this model is there's 11 people around the table and there are 11 opinions, which can sound like a bit of a cacophony, I understand. But also I think that's why I said, when you're thinking about who to put your, the names next to, think about their disposition, think about their ability to work well with others, because things are going to move forward with your council working as a team, deliberating. That's really important. That's the second step of my the process that I lay forward on my website. First we need to understand something, and then we need to plan it, and then we need to deliberate it, right? So that's really, really important that we have those deliberations in terms of the best way to move forward. The second thing that elected officials focus on is upholding the values of democracy. And this is really important that we have a lot of candidates, because when you have candidates by acclamation, and that usually comes from a lack of participation. When there's not enough candidates, then somebody just gets kind of installed in the role, and you didn't really have a say in that necessarily if you didn't have a selection of of candidates to choose from. The next one is promoting community well-being, inclusion, and collaboration. We want a good representation from every demographic in our municipality. So there are many people, kinds of people. We're made up of a wonderful mosaic here in St. Stephen, different economic backgrounds, different racial backgrounds, different experience, different ages. Some of us are from long time from St. Stephen. Others have moved here recently, or a decade ago, or a couple decades ago. And that's where the collaboration piece is. How do we all want to see St. Stephen shaped together into the future? And that, I really relate to the UMNB president who said in this article that, she's the mayor of Grand Bay Westfield, and she thinks about her community as a place where she wants her kids to move, to stay in, even if they move away for education, or to come back to, be proud of, feel invested in, feel like they have representation, feel like they can access the tools of democracy. And that is something that really I want to see too. My kids are 11 and 13, and I really want this to be a place for them and for you at the same time. So we work together to make this place a wonderful place to live, work, play, and invite others to join into as well. Promoting community, said that improving public services and local facilities. We always need to be thinking about that and balancing budgets and how to move forward in terms of, like I said, what do we build today? What do we build next year or the year after that? What are some things that are going to need attention 5 years from now? And again, I would argue that has not happened well when you look at the state of our roads. And there is, St. Stephen has seen some tough times in terms of economically, but when you see roads in this bad shape, it is a case where money was not being put away into a capital fund, and then all of a sudden here we are in a situation now where council is making decisions on borrowing $5 million and keeping, hopefully keeping in interest payments manageable and things like that. But we need to have a long-term vision and say what is going to need attention. And water infrastructure and roads are the most demanding balance sheet liability in a municipality. Being responsible with public funds, as I just said, we need to put some away for future. We need to make sure we spend now. The thing about municipal budgets is they need to be balanced, so they can't run deficits. You'll see the province and the federal government sometimes running deficits. That cannot happen in a municipality. That's why when we do look at the budget, you will see zero. In terms of the balance sheet, every dollar has to be accounted for, and it needs to be a balanced budget. Making decisions that affect residents. Of course, as I said, municipal politics is the most tangible. You step outside, I live on Churchill Street, and I see a street that's literally collapsing. So, that's not something that provincially, unless you live on a provincial highway, federally, sometimes, that comes to bear when you do your taxes at the end of the year. You look at your T2 or your T1 and you go, oh my gosh, that's kind of federal, right? But municipal issues are so tangible. And then working effectively as a team, well, I already talked about that. I got ahead of myself. But that is what the council focuses on, is working as a team to represent you really well. So we got to page 5 of this document. There's really good stuff, more to come in here. I do want to summarize it. The link is in below because I really like, I said, how it's curated and what they consider to be the most important information for candidates, but for you as a resident. And I won't take up any more of your time today with that. We'll get to it tomorrow. Thanks for joining me. Look up buildupststephen.ca. That's my website where you can look at my priorities, which are your priorities. As I start to knock doors, I'm going to ask you what we need to see improved here in St. Stephen, the Municipal District. And you can look up my commitments, how I will conduct myself as your mayor, things I want to do, and the action plan that I referred to, of which deliberation is really an important part, working with the team and as a team. All right, have a wonderful day. I've taken up enough of your time. Thanks for joining me. Build up yourself and your neighbor. Build up St. Stephen. See you tomorrow.